Hi, my name is Kevin Lamb. I'm going to show you guys how to pack a truck in this video. But you generally want to start with the most stackable stuff. But come over here and let me show you some things. These plates have like a, I guess like a locking mechanism. So there's these little nubs right here. So they have to line up and in the front and the back. So it's lined up back there. But if it was like this, show this right here. Like you can see that it's not lined up, and it can fall over. So just want to make sure that they're locked. All right, so when you're bringing glass racks to the truck, sometimes the loaders are bringing them up, and you got it stacked right here in the front. So you can move the whole stack. You kind of have to like rotate it, or kind of push it. But when you push it, you want to make sure you don't push it and the whole thing falls over. So I'm just rotating it. And I just use my knees to get it into place. All right, and then we push it in so it's nice and tight. All right, so now we're trying to fill up this back row right here. We want to make sure that everything is filled in tightly. So when you get to this part, sometimes so if I put this plate here, and we're left with a little bit of space, or hold on, let me see. Or I was going to consider putting this stack of bins on, but then like now you have a little bit of space and you can't fit another rack right here per se. So we're just gonna try. Sometimes you just have to experiment with what you have to make sure it fits all perfect. So let's take this out, and I'm going to try. Well, get another stack over here, but this represents a stack, and then this fits pretty snugly right here. So we'll just build these up. All right, so we just finished putting some equipment in the back row over here, and you'll notice like this type of plate, we don't necessarily have more of these, but it's like lower than the rest of these. So sometimes I'll just take some light equipment and just fill it in the back. Sometimes they send these bins and you'll have like a couple splay pieces or whatever, but it's good for filling in the gap too as well. When you get the truck, sometimes you get all the plates in the back, but as we're doing events, when you're loading the truck after an event, you don't necessarily get all the plates at the same time, so you're just loading what you can get. Your priority is to get the rows tight going sideways. So we got a couple more plates. We're going to get a couple more rows in until we start getting different types of equipment. All right, so we just put in some more square racks and plates. These are the rest of the plates that we had for now, but now we're still left with this smaller section. You can't get another square rack stack right here, so we need to improvise and find what else we have. So we have this works as well. These ice chests, sometimes they'll fit in, but they stick out a little bit, so that's something to consider. That would work. Or the samovar boxes, or the percolator box. This could fit, but looks a little tight, but I could get it in there if I really wanted to. So, I mean, if I pushed it in a little bit more, that would fit. But I generally, you might have these bins as well, and this could probably fit. But I'm gonna do it in a way that works. All right, that fits pretty good. It's a little play, but that's okay. So yeah. All right, these bins fit in snugly. This bar right here is kind of in the way, but then these bins are kind of tapered, so that should work. So, all right, we're stacked up pretty high, and this truck there isn't too many equipment, so I'm not stacking it too high. But like if there's a lot of equipment, you'll need to stack it pretty high, depending on if there's a lot of trash. But we can readjust things or make it higher if we need to, if we get more stuff. So now we're going to work on the next row. Another thing I want to reiterate is that you generally want to start with the plate racks and and then the glass racks, because these things are dirty and like they're also the most fragile, and they're the bulk of all the equipment. So we're starting with mostly like the smaller, more fragile, dirty stuff, and then as we get to the back of the truck, we'll get more of the bigger things to block in these things so that they are less likely to fall in. Okay, so we have a stack of square racks right here. If you notice, there's this is a glass rack with heavier stuff, and most of these other things are like light. So you generally want to put these things on top of the heavier stuff. We'll just restack this so this is on the bottom. Okay, so here's another stack, or row, I guess, and then here's another example of how you can fill in a gap. Here I put some milk crates here so that way it like fills in this gap. So you might find different size equipments, but yeah, that's what worked for me. But you want to make sure that they don't slip. All right, so for this truck, I'm not packing too high because we don't have too much equipment, but you're gonna have some weird things that are so. These water jugs, these 5-gallon water jugs, are usually pretty light, so you can put these on top of the other things. Everything you can't stack, you just put it up here. So you got these little metal tugs sometimes that don't stack well. Just put them over here as well. Good. So now that we're done with most of the fragile things and the plates and glasses, we're going to start with like bigger equipment. Like, so we're going to pack this is a what do you call it? A hot box and a speed rack. We're going to pack these in. And just a box. It'll help box it. And then here's this. But sometimes you'll notice that some of these things are pretty hollow. So put other equipment in here. Let's say, for instance, you packed all the plates and all the plates are back there, but you have one plate rack left over. Sometimes I like to do this, where I just put the leftover rack inside here, and it's just protected. So that's something you can do. Or if you have another one of these weird things, put it in here. But milk crates and the smaller bins fit in here pretty well. Or if you have a lot of sheet pans, they can go in there as well. If tables came off the truck, they need to go back on as well. We have some 8-foots, but sometimes you can get some round cocktail tables. But 8-foots are pretty long, so we already loaded probably like 3 rows already, and like this one 8-foot already goes to the end of the truck. So you want to try to get it in early, because otherwise, then if you need to get it on towards the end, you're gonna have to put it on top of everything, and it's not ideal. Sometimes when the truck is parked on a hill, and so these tables might fall over, so you probably need to get something. I'm gonna just grab this, just hold it in place, and then until I stack other things here. But there's a little bit of space here on top of these, so if you have some round tables, you could probably put them on top if you put something else, if you stack it. All right, so I think this is my 3rd row, or maybe my 4th row, but I stacked most of the things, and here's just another example of how I squeeze some things. And I mean, these are the kitchen bins. Usually it's all the dirty foods, but if they have food that needs to go back to the shop, that it usually needs to get packed last. So usually just a couple bins. So I have like 3 bins. So I just keep it towards the front of the truck, and I try not to pack it with the other stuff. But you want to make sure that these are either dirty kitchen equipment or just empty bins. But yeah, over here I filled in this gap with sandbars. Let me finish filling this gap. And I'll just but I'll just set that there. And we're getting down to the nitty gritty with not that much stuff, so I might taper this down a little bit. Have a little bit more space, but trash can take a lot of space. If you have more glasses coming in, you might still put another stack up right here, and it'll just be one stack. But just make sure the general concept of keeping it mostly tight. So I still have to pack some linens and then some ice chests. You can pack ice chests early on, but I generally like to keep them for last in case we run out of space. And if we run out of space, then you can leave equipment like ice chests, empty ice chests, or tables on site. But we need to get all the dirty or heavy equipment packed and sent back. Alright, so for this next row, this is even more big equipment that we're dealing with. So it doesn't necessarily need to be as tight. This is more durable equipment, usually towards this end. You generally want to leave a little bit of space for trash, and yeah, it's big equipment. All right, so after we did the speed racks, we got a couple more equipment like ice bins and linens, linen bins. These are bigger bins, so there's a little bit more play, a little more space in between, but it doesn't matter as much because this is bigger equipment, and it's more lighter. These ice chests are a little bit lighter. And you can fit some things in between if you need to. Yeah, I guess I'll fit this right here. This looks good. It doesn't need to be super tight once you get to this part of the truck. But if you have some tables, maybe you could fit some tables in right here. All right, sometimes when you get to this point of the truck, you're like kind of running out of floor space. So if you have a cake box, this takes up a lot of space, or if you have like a freezer that takes a lot of space, sometimes I'll put the cake box on top of the freezer, or I'll take a big bin. This is like a chafing dish. I'll put this on top of that, and that saves you some floor space because you're gonna start getting some trash in and all that stuff. Okay, so when the linen comes on the truck, linens usually come in these blue bins, but they come very nicely folded. But we generally want to put all of them back in these bins, but they're not going to all fit. So what we do is we usually put the linen in plastic bags, and actually have no linens, but for the purpose of the video, we're going to pretend like this is a bag of linens. So you want to get the bag of linens and then throw it in the back on top of the other equipment. But you want to keep it away from the front of the truck, or this is actually the back of the truck. But you generally want to keep it toward that way, because when the truck driver unloads the trash, we don't want them confusing that bag of linens for trash. And so you want to try to keep them separate from the trash. So another thing that you'll encounter is the red bucket. We use this for storing broken glass. Make sure it's sealed. Don't stack it on top of the other equipment. Just keep it on the ground and keep it in between things so it doesn't fall over. All right, so we're ready for trash. Actually, you know, honestly, I think I packed this truck a little too high now that I realize I have a little more space. So I'm gonna just lower this. These two linen bins are usually pretty heavy. I'm gonna put this down because we don't have as much stuff, and the height of these are gonna hold that down. But and then this was just a nice trick, but I'm just gonna lower this too. Yeah, it's when you get to the trash, you can start lowering things. Yeah, so the trash comes in, and usually have a couple of trash cans, like three or four. But if you needed to load up the trash, sometimes you can put trash on top of each other. We left the food. Usually the food is in these kind of containers, like this air void. The lid is not on it, but for the purposes of the video, let's just pretend that's a container of food. This probably should. You want to level it out so all the trash gets up here, because this trash can could fall over. So, you know, I probably wouldn't even do this. So, keep all the trash in place. You want to make sure you don't forget the uniforms. So, like, you know, the shirts, aprons, and ties, they go in these bins. If it doesn't all fit, just stuff it in as much as you can, as long as most of them there, and just load it on the truck.